Hello and good morning, everyone. And thanks for joining us again for another episode of our podcast series. And this is Afrelib Academic podcast series on the girl, child, and the world of technology. And if you haven't listened to episode one, I advise you go listen to episode one. We had an amazing guest, and we had a wonderful time talking about some issues with regards to the girl child and the world of technology. And today I'm really excited because I have a special guest, and there's just so much about her school and what she's doing that has really, really inspired me. I'll let her tell you more about that just in a bit. So joining me today is Mrs. Oladipo Oluwatosin. She is the head of school, Safe Hands Schools, Abuja. She's popularly known as Mrs. O, so I'm going to be calling her Mrs. O in the course of this conversation. So thank you so much for joining us, Mrs. O.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so just tell us a little bit more about yourself and the year 6 project for this session. So usually in the school, all the year 6 will pick a project just to give back to the community. And I think one thing I like about what they do is they kind of take away that entitlement mentality where it looks like as a child, I should always get. You create that sense of responsibility and citizenship and giving back. And that was really amazing. It's an inspiration. So tell us more about yourself and this particular year's project.
Okay, thank you so much. My name, like you all know, is Mrs. Oluwatosin Oladipo. Everybody calls me Mrs. O. And I'm the head of school at Safe Hands Schools. One interesting thing about me that people don't really know is that I didn't start off in the education space. I mean, I was not going to be caught dead being a teacher. The corporate world was for me, but I was there had worked for roughly over 10 years. And I just followed my passion. I followed the calling. I was doing a little bit of teaching on the side, consulting for friends. But then, when you're doing it and everybody's like, how about you coming in permanently into the sector? So I remember biting that bullet and just, resigning. And I have to look back since. And I'm really, really, really happy doing what I do. Now back to the year 6 pupils at Safe Hands Schools. Our school is Safe Hands Schools. It's the school for House of the Rock Church. We're a faith-based school running a hybrid curriculum, and that means it's a mix of both the Nigerian and the British curriculum, but we are very, very dogged about Christian values and raising our children, bringing them up, building them with skills required for life. And so every year, our year 6 pupils, they come up with a project giving back to the society. Last year, our project was more internal than external now, where they decided that the society or the community that they wanted to give back to was their own school. So they were very big on bullying. And so they came up with the body bench. And so, yes, we got a carpenter who constructed it, but the painting, the design and everything on the body bench was all their idea. And the idea behind the body bench is, look, if you find any child sitting on that bench, that child is lonely, that child needs a friend, and then you walk up to that and start off a conversation. And so this year, I had a larger class, set of year 6. And, we are quite big on, we always celebrate the United Nations Day. So we are big on the Sustainable Development Goals. And this year, they focused on the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which looks at education being, quality education being inclusive and equitable in nature. And, in the course of them conducting their research, they found out that, look, there's something called out-of-school children. It's quite shocking to them to think that not every child has access to quality education. Not every child has access to school. Some children don't even go to school. So with regards to that, we decided that, if we want to do this, how do we go about this? We got an NGO, they gave us details about schools, and then they decided to visit. Visiting the school was an interesting one for us because It's easy for you to sit in your very comfortable classroom and decide that we want to help school XYZ there. Go and meet mommy, go and meet daddy, go and meet uncle. There is some nice amount of money, not caring about what the needs of that school really is, and they're just thinking to themselves, maybe we'll just buy a few books and then maybe buy a teaching board and then donate without actually carrying out a needs assessment to see what they need. So we went there for the visit, and I can tell you that the children have been very, very different since then, because we came back from that. I noticed that they were very quiet when we got back on that visit. It was, for lack of a better word, very traumatizing for them, but I liked it because then it takes them out of that bubble they are in. And one of them actually said to me that this is the difference between me and any child at the school that they picked, which is any Zamani school, is that it's the opportunity that life has afforded me. I could have been that child in that school. So that was a eureka, very light bulb moment for them. And we got back, we had a brainstorming session. How do we raise funds? And like you rightly said, we do not raise children who feel entitled to people's finances, but people's resources, particularly the finances in their pocket. So look, I want you to be able to walk up to someone. I mean, if they come to Afrelib Academy and say, look, we're raising funds, the next thing you would expect to hear from them is, okay, how do you intend to go about raising this fund? And they say, oh, we have big sales, we are writing a devotional, we are staging a play, and the play is an offshoot of that devotional. The characters in the devotional that they've written themselves are the characters in the play that they're staging. And then, of course, we can't take away donations, even though, yes, we don't want you to feel you're entitled to it. But donations is a major driver for this project. So that's what they're currently working on. And it's been a really, really, what will I say, interesting journey. I mean, when I get feedback from their parents, it is the commitment, it's like they've suddenly woken up and they're more mature because they realize that life has been good and fair to them.
Mm. Oh, this is amazing. It's very, when I was talking to the co-founder about this, he said, no, Joyce, we have to talk more with Safe Hands Schools. We need to find out how we can support, how we can be a part of this project. Because for us at Afrelib, we believe that every child has a unique voice, and then we listen for it. And how do we do that? How in the way we support schools and parents and teachers. So this was very close to our vision, our mission, and all of that. So we're all excited just to know that we have children who, like you said, were able to reflect and just grow up and realize that, oh, we're really privileged, and not just in a way of being puffed up, but being
Absolutely. But then I need to say something. When we got there, when it was, of course, we were recording it because we need that for our archives. And it was time to take pictures. I deliberately mixed up the children with them. I'm not going to have that segregation, that divide. I'm not going to do that. These are children, we are mixing with children who probably haven't had a bath in about 2 or 3 days, but just would do anything to come to school. So I remember some of my students asking, they said their expectations were exceeded, and let me explain why. They didn't think they were going to meet children who could speak English. They didn't think they were going to meet children who were learning. I don't know what kind of thoughts they had before that, but we got talking, asking the children at the school in Zamani that, what do you want to become, your hopes and aspirations for the future? We had things that people who wanted to go into tech. There was a girl who wanted to become an engineer. You could see them in look of shock at and I'm like, see, for children, like this is probably a child that has been praying somewhere that somebody sees them. Because with the thought that the students are raising, we are able to, first and foremost, let me tell you something about this. 300 students, one block of class, 300 students, 3 classes, 1 block. So you have 3 arms in a class. So you have year 4, year 5, year 6 in one room. So the very first thing on the top of the list of our agenda with what we want to do with the school is to demarcate the classroom so that we can have 6 classrooms instead of, because every child has a right to education, and nobody should hamper or tamper with that. So that's just something we are doing. I'm very excited. You said speak, I stop. So let me just stop.
All are amazing. Seriously, this is a big inspiration. Talking about the divide, when you said taking pictures and you don't want a divide, and I also heard your children when I watched the interview say we're very inclusive, and also the theme song on not just crying but taking action. I was talking about that. Going back to the topic, which is the girl child and the world of technology, and also looking at that girl who says, I want to be an engineer, with the, you had a chat with. Do you think the digital gender divide is a concern in the modern world right now? When you look at, okay, so how can we close this gap? How can we?
I will take you back to the A part of your question. It is the major problem. When I hear divide, I think of gap, I think of lack of access. And when you say a digital divide, that means you're saying to us that, male and female do not have equal access to technology. And one thing that is sad for me, which I had hinted when I was speaking to the students, particularly when the little girl said she wants to become an engineer, is to say that, look, intellectual ability isn't gender specific. When I write an exam, in fact, do you know that I was speaking to one HR consultant recently, and he said that CVs right now, they don't require you to put your gender. So it has to be fair. Do you understand? I think of things, and say, because I'm a teacher, I'm very graphic with my explanation, so you're going to really indulge me today. I like watching things like this musical, it's called The Voice. And when judges want to pick, they don't see. So what they do is based on what they hear. Same thing with education. It is not an issue that I'm a girl or I'm a boy. Give me access. Give me that access to this. Once I have access to it, I'm intelligent enough, I can do it. Many of us grew up never thinking we could be engineers because our old grandpas were the architects and the engineers we saw. If you find one auntie that became an engineer, oh my goodness, that was something else. And just to further go on with the second part of your question, you said, how do we close it? That's a very deep question, because the very first thing is, when I think of things when I think of the little girl, let's call her, I can't remember her name. Let me give her a really nice name. Let's say her name is Mary. Then let me give her Cousin, and I'll tell you why I'm thinking of her as a catering. Where, like I said, I'm a great storyteller. When you think about education, when you think about digital divide, the very first thing that comes to mind is granting children access very early from childhood. And how else can you grant them access if you don't include it in the curriculum of the school? Digital literacy is a no-brainer right now. Schools should have STEAM, not even STEM, with science, technology, engineering, science, technology, English, arts, what's that now? Math, yes. And have it embedded in the curriculum. I would explain to you something we do at Safe Hands. You see, prior to COVID, everybody was just sitting on the fence and was blah, blah, blah about technology. COVID hit and everybody knew that, look, if you don't embrace this thing, I keep saying to people, it isn't that technology, there's this argument and this talk right now that, technology would take the place of teachers. I said, the truth about it is that technology should be collaborated with. It will take the work of a teacher who is not ready to embrace it. And so when you're in such a thing in the curriculum right now, it gives everybody a level playing ground. It gives them access. At Safe Hands, our students from very early years start visiting the ICT room, because truth is, look at a 1-year-old. When the mother sometimes doesn't know how to keep the child quiet, she hands over her phone to the child. The child can navigate it. So why do we think that children cannot navigate or cannot have access to technology? At Safe Hands, our children, I had a meeting recently with my IT team, and he was just updating me and saying, there's a new upgrade with Scratch. Scratch is the software, is it the app now that they use for coding? And he said, he was talking about the projects that they are doing, because this is embedded in what the students do. Will that be every child that likes coding? Probably not, let's be very honest. But I will not deny you access to it by exposing you to it. Exposure is one major thing you get when you embed these things in the curriculum. You also need to increase connectivity in communities. There are places, remember COVID time, there were students who couldn't learn because there was no internet. You know, when you also have internet, you have to ensure that it's accessible and it is affordable. I keep saying create awareness. Many times, some children don't even know that you can do it. You know, create awareness, you know, remove the barriers to entry, stop stereotyping. Growing up, you could never open your mouth, even if you had a desire to be an engineer because you're a girl and because of the times that we were in there. You couldn't say to your parent, engineer. I feel, how are you doing that? You know? And so those are some of the things that I've been thinking about. I particularly will probably have not embraced technology, but looking at the way the world is going right now, you had better embrace it because you've been left behind. Look at what artificial intelligence is doing right now. Oh,
Yes.
thoughts.
Thank you so much. Not just listening to you, and I'm just hoping that key stakeholders who will listen to this would intentionally create assets, even within the family unit. You know, what about exposing them from, you know, when they're little? I think it starts from the home. You know, it's easier to tell the girl child, you should, shouldn't you do this? Shouldn't you do that? What it has to do with the kitchen, tidying up the house, and all of that, than tell the boy child. Unconsciously, we start from the home and we just let some things happen. And I'm sure as many people that would listen to this would then become intentional from the family unit all the way to all the different stakeholders. And thank you so much. And
Something about that. And like I said, I'm always very practical. In my home, I have 2 children. I have a boy. My first is a boy. He's turning 18. My daughter is the second. She's 16. We don't have roles that are gender-based in the house. If you have to, boy cooks, have to clean, you know. So you're right to say that it also starts from the home. Parents need to stop. You know, sometimes something is it's even what they call that thing now. It's your default response to say, oh, the girls should do this, you know. The boys can sit down. Oh, there's a flat tire, let the boy do it. Who said the girl cannot learn to change the tires of the car? Who said? Choose them. Who said?
And these are things that will help the girl if she's driving. She just picks it up and she does it.
That boy down there is just going to look at her and say, oh, she's the damsel in distress. I mean, there's a place for you to want to be very girly and want to be pampered. But when push comes to shove, you will roll up your stand, do it and move.
Yes, very true. Very, very true. You know, and surprisingly, our technology challenge, the one we had last year, the first 3 positions, first, second, and third, were all girls. I know that's part of what inspired, you know, this talk, because we just realized that a lot of the girls that were on the challenge, they were so active, very active.
Yeah.
And it's not more girls that went to the girls. Of course, we're not saying the boy child is not important. They are also important. But is it vibe that has just been, and it's important that we address it. And then talking about your response, now my next question would be, how then do we encourage girls that want to pursue career in technology and in STEM fields, STEAM and
You know, interestingly, after we spoke yesterday, I just decided to do a little bit of research and say to myself, has this thing been said? Do you know that when you look at the workforce in the STEM field or the STEAM field, women only make up about 25%. I found that very interesting. In fact, I discovered that women were only allowed into the field after there was a bill or a law was passed in the 1970s. I was like, this thing must have been really deep then. And it takes me back to this movie. I don't know if you've ever seen Hidden Figures. And that's like, the girl at Zambani, I will call her K3 because and that takes me to how to encourage girls where we have good role models for them, you know. You need to know, see, you can only aspire for something when you can see it. when you see that people have gone ahead and they've done this, we had the likes of Catherine Johnson, who, I mean, I really loved it in when I was watching Hidden Figures. I think it was Taraji that played that part, and how she pushed past the stereotypes, the horrible men who really wanted to belittle her intellectual ability. And that's why I said intellect isn't gender-based. And America can't say anything about NASA and their ability to land their aircraft on the moon without talking about Katherine Johnson. And as I'm talking about that now, let me piggyback on that and talk about, I don't know if you know this Nigerian lady, her name is Ife Durosinieti, and she has, I think it's the very first female banking app in Nigeria. And I don't know whether it's West Africa now. It's called Her Economy. This is someone who going to school, I don't think she studied tech, but got out there and realized that there was a gap, you understand, and opened a digital banking platform for women, which takes me to that place that says, look, even for women, we need to show them that it's girls, show them that it is possible, show them that people have done it, and it gives them, for lack of a better word to use, some form of vision board in their head that if somebody had done it, I can do it. So what is something you can't take away. I keep saying it, even for girls, grant them access. Like this, my year 6s now at their project, we've embedded technology in such a way that, in a very subtle and lightable way, that you are unable to say you don't like it. So, I mean, I think I have in my year 6 about maybe 7 boys and 7 girls. And I've said to them that the project that they're doing, they're writing an e-devotional. They would write it, and we're going to explore a lot of apps. So, yes, ChatGPT, and I'm very careful about integrity. So I'm saying to them, we're not asking that app to write it for us. We're feeding it into the app to see what it will generate, because integrity, you can't take away intellectual property and integrity. We're not going to present something like your project to the public and say you wrote it if you really didn't write it. That lacks integrity, and that's a core value for us. So those are some of the things that I think is important, showing them that it is possible, showing them that it is fun, giving them role models that are out there, it becomes very relatable, becomes very easy. If more people, and there are quite a lot of people in this field that are not telling their story. Because when they tell your story, the more people know that. And when I say tell your story, they're not telling the tough part of how they got there. Because when you tell people the truth and you're vulnerable and honest, a child knows that she did it afraid, so I can do it.
Women in tech, myself inclusive, we're guilty. Yeah. And the last guest we had also said that's like his biggest advice on the ways to close these gaps, where we can present before them people who have done it, and they can actually take these children, mentor them, share their stories. And saying we were 13 girls in our engineering class, and we were the biggest, our number was the highest. That was like 13 girls. And we had about 105 thereabouts. And we were just 13 girls. And our set had the highest number of girls in engineering.
Out of 100?
Yes, we're 13. So you can imagine. We had more people coming. It wasn't funny. So, we just need more people, especially women in tech, people who, even if it wasn't your original field, but you were able to pick it up and thrive in it. If they can come out and share their stories and just show this younger ones that you can do it, then it will really go a long way to help. So
so sorry. Can I? Even in addition to that, when you mentioned this story of your school, I just thought about it that we also need environments that is enabling, because sometimes they do come into those places and they don't treat them right. They don't treat them fairly. I want to come into a place and I don't want you to think I'm very girly. I don't want you to make excuses for me. make it a level playing ground, come into university, particularly, and this is me really breaking and addressing tables like Nigerian universities, how encouraging, how embracing our professors to young girls coming into that place. Do you know how much of an awareness is being done, in some of these universities to say, sometimes in getting this access, even though, yes, it may sound like I'm contradicting myself, but maybe start to give a little bit of scholarships to encourage girls to come into these places. It goes a long way, because if you look at international scholarships, if you want to study abroad, there's quite a lot for women in STEM, but the awareness isn't there. The awareness isn't, and even for parents and parenting, we also need to let the children know that, unfortunately, out there, it's almost like a dog-eat-dog world, where let them know that they will face challenges, teach them how to embrace those challenges, help these children to grow great, so that when a challenge comes, I face it head on and I move. Because most times, the very first thing you see a girl ask anybody in this thing is it difficult? Is it hard? The minute you say it is hard, you want to back off. So in telling your story, please encourage, I think we should also encourage them to say, yes, it is hard, but it is doable.
Yes.
It's doable. It is doable.
Doable, yes. Thank you so much, Mrs. O. It's such an amazing, we can talk with you. How much time do we have? Can we do for 2 hours? Thank you so much. So let's hear your advice, girls who really are interested in pursuing this career. They're interested, they probably are scared or have been told, no, that's not for a girl. What's your advice?
Do it afraid. I'm not coming here to tell you it is easy. Do it afraid. Don't let anyone dim your voice or dim your light. You have a right to be here. You see, don't think those crazy ideas that you have, they are valid. There's a space for them. And finally, take no for an answer. Keep pushing. Don't take no. Push. Keep pushing. Don't be afraid. You see, I will back any child that I know is ready to get their hands dirty and roll up the sleeves. So I will not encourage you to be lazy. I'm going to encourage you to put your hand in there. It would always work out. It will pan out. It will. Don't give up. So that's my advice.
Wow, thank you so much. So, like they always say, courage is not the absence of fear. So do it afraid. If you're afraid, you have valid reasons for all those fears. Take advantage of that fear and then go head on and give it your best. To be lazy. Not accept those stereotypes. Don't say, oh, but I'm a girl, I can't get my hands dirty. Then you're confirming what every other person is saying when you do that. So get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, so the work, it's doable. It's doable. Then don't take it for an answer. So I'm just repeating all that she said. I think I'm the one that said it. Thank you so much. It's been nice having you. And just before you leave, the podcast, probably some people would hear it even after the project is done. But for those that would hear it before the project is done, are there important dates and different ways they can donate towards this project that you'd like to share?
Yes. We have a stage production and the launch of the devotional coming up next week, Tuesday. Let me just a second. I need to confirm the date. I'm very horrible with dates. It's coming up on the 27th of June, right here. Our school is Safe Hands Schools. It's a school for House on the Rock Church. So we share the same facility. Our school is opposite CT Gate, Abuja. To give towards the cause, our goal is to raise 1.2 million naira. And you want me to share the details, or they can contact us at the school? Which one would you?
Okay, so you could read out your contact details so they can call you.
Okay.
I'm just asking the people who beyond able to contact you for more information, or how else they can be a part of maybe not just the set, any other set. So I think your contact number would be fine.
Will be fine. Just a second. I need to pull out the number.
Okay.
Excuse me, please. The number is, our number is 0813 547 1513. 0813 517 1513. There's another number, 0913 050 4403 4403. So I'll take a number again, 0813 547 1513 0913 050 4403. I think that is fine.
Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. I look forward to making time to come watch the play on the 27th. And 12 million. Okay, 27th million Tuesday. So please let us know. Thank you so much. We're so happy that you made time to have this conversation with us. We're looking forward to more collaboration with you on different topics, and we have events coming up, Teachers Conference, Tech and Career Expo. So we'll give you details. We're looking forward to having your students come over for these conferences and all of that. And it's
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Also, my guest on today's podcast has been Mrs. Oladipo Oluwatosin, Mrs. O, who is the head of school for Safe Hands Schools, Abuja. And we've been talking about the girl child and the world of technology. Please do listen to it and share and let everyone out there support the girl child. In leveling the playing field, in closing the gap, sometimes we have to make some special considerations. Like she said, create scholarships. If you have plans, if you have programs that you have for girls and you want us to help spread the word, because sometimes these things are out there, but publicity is really low. So if you have such programs, please reach out to us. We have a large range of schools that we're in contact with. We can share that with them so that your programs or your scholarships or your provisions can be made known to girls that are looking for such opportunities. So until we meet again, the next episode 3, a special guest, I will introduce her at that episode. Please to take care of yourself and keep supporting the girl child, keep supporting the boy child, keep supporting the education system, and see you guys. Thank you all and have a lovely day.